Hello, welcome back everybody. My name's Amber. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, so happy to have you back. If you will recall, in the last video we did some mask makes and 3 different ideas. If you haven't seen that and you're interested, go ahead and check that out. It'll be on the playlist for mask makes. We made these little faux ceramic tags, and I thought it would be really cool to make one on a tag of maybe, this is one of the little faux metal ones, but like a tag of this shape, and then you could use it as a journal cover, focal point, or something to that effect. So I thought we should definitely try that out. But I've got this box of 24 colors, and instead of trying it out on the big one, I thought let's color swatch some things. I don't know if it'll be a fun video, interesting video, but I have a good time watching people color swatch watercolors. So I thought, hey, let's just tape it as we go. So I'm going to jump right in. What I started with is just using some of this embossing ink. I just made swipes, and I've got this so old. It says opaque white, but it's really a kind of creamy color that I used as the base. So that is done. That is ready. I'm just going to grab myself. Clearly, I'm not very prepared because I don't have a pen handy. Here, does this Sharpie work? Surely does. Okay. So I think we're just going to go to town. I don't know if we're better off. Maybe we want to start with the metallics. Not that these aren't all going to have a pretty sheen to it, but let's start with our metallics and just see what happens. So, all right. Let's just quick mark ourselves down here. Oh, is that going to work? Yellow gold, bronze, copper. I almost put Cooper, and silver. All right, let's see what we end up with. When I did the other ones, I used a paintbrush. This time I'm just going to use a Q-tip. I'm just going to get a tiniest bit. I don't want to cross-contaminate what we're doing, so that is why I'm doing it this way. Now, we'll have to see. Of course, I already am making a mess. We'll have to see if this acts the same way as the paintbrush, where it's like you can't quite see it, and then it all of a sudden really shows up as you burnish it. So it's looking pretty nice. Okay. Let me take a quick check to make sure that shows up. It does. Maybe we'll try. Now, we'll see how I do here. We'll try to zoom in a little bit more so you can see the color better. And I will just have to keep my paper area right where it should be so that you can see it well. Okay. Now you know me and my inability to stay where I'm supposed to be, so I'm going to make sure that we're close to center. If I center here, we'll be good. Okay. There we go. I'm not going to pretend that I'm good at staying where I'm supposed to be, so we're just going to address it right now in front of everybody. Okay. Let's check out our bronze. Ooh. is pretty. It does have the same effect where you first start and it's not so much, and then as it layers up, you can really see that color popping out. It might be that the non-metallic colors are actually more fun and interesting. Oh, I love copper so much. Really not a whole lot of difference between those, is there? Just work it in, see that texture. Feel free to speed this up if it's feeling a little boring or tedious. And then once we get all our colors down, we'll go ahead and do a stamp. And then we will do the top layer of clear to see how that works. Yes. Make sure I'm setting these where they belong. Okay. So we got those guys. I think the blues are going to be really cool. So let's move on over to the blues. We'll go with these 4 up here to start. And get our little things labeled here. I bet that blue pearl is going to be cool. And what I'm hoping that this ends up giving me the opportunity to do is if I find that there is a, you know, maybe there's, you run into a bowl or a picture that you think is really cool and you want to mimic that color. Hopefully this will give me a base to reference. That's pretty. I think they're all going to be lovely. I don't think we're going to run into any. And mint is the one. Did I use that on here? I think I used that. Yeah, I think I used it on here so you can see once you put the clear over the top. I'm not going to ink around them or anything like that because it wouldn't work the right way anyway. So it gives such a pretty final result. Ooh, this says aquamarine, but it's very, oh, it's a lot. It's very slaty, I would say. Just work that in. You can have spots that are darker and lighter. I would have never guessed that that was this color. So that is good to know. Set that off to the side. And we can even do one row at a time if we want. I'm just going to keep going with the end here. So, because it does change when you put the clear on it. It does dilute a little bit. That might be the most horrible, annoying sound. Feel free to turn down the volume. This is going to be special, I think. Get some of the extra off there. See, I would call this aquamarine if I had to go back to my oil painting days. This one definitely lines back up. I got this set of mica powders on Amazon quite a long time ago. I can't even remember what I was needing them for. Thought I needed them for something. Oh, I know what it was. I was trying a homemade recipe for Wink of Stella. Guys, just buy the pen. Yes, this works, but it also, if you use these and you don't seal it afterwards, and you have to seal it carefully. I used hairspray and that worked. But if you don't seal it afterwards, if you use these like within water to make a watercolor, and you don't use, I even had a binder in it, or without mixed with alcohol, when that evaporates and dries off, this will rub off. So, yeah, be mindful of that. So let's go ahead and do our first row. Why not? We'll just break it up a little bit. So let me grab a stamp, because we ultimately will be stamping these. So we definitely want to see what that's going to look like. Now I'm going to use Archival, and we're just going to stamp a number on each one of these and see how that looks when we put the top layer on. And we'll have to let this dry for a moment, because we need to come in with another layer of the embossing ink. And when I did it before, did I dab right on? I don't think I did, because I didn't want it to get, I didn't want it to contaminate my bottle. Let's see. We probably should do it that way again. I'm trying to think if there's a different brush that I want to use that will be more I don't know the word for it. I don't necessarily want to use the ink pad, the little ink daubers, because I don't want it to absorb too much. Overthinking it. Let's just I wonder if I can put some out right here. Oh, don't do that. I almost made it. I tried to squeeze the bottle and it almost popped the dauber right off. I'm just going to put some over here on my glass mat and see if I can pick it up easily with the brush. A swipe. And a swipe. Seems to work okay. Let's go ahead and put this on. And I'm just putting a coat of clear embossing powder over the top. Let's try. I was gonna say maybe we could take the top off and dip. Oh yes, we can. Let's try that. Let's take the top off and dip in with our brush. Let's see if it will come. Oh, it does. Fantastic. Except that I'm making a huge mess on my fingers. Do not want to I do not want to emboss my fingers by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, that's a lot. All right, this is, I am picking up some of the other color. So let's we'll learn about how much embossing fluid to put on the top too, I guess. We're just gonna learn together. Oh, here, I again forgot about being in the middle. Tap off the excess. I am going to, though, fold my paper in half first. See how clean it is. Let's fold our paper in half first, because sometimes I don't, and then, you know, it's not that easy to fold it after. I don't know what I'm thinking when I do stuff like that. Alright, so let's just pour right down. Oh, seriously? Look at, I made such a mess. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a blow on here so we don't have too much, I don't know why I closed this up. Can I get it with one hand without putting this? No, I certainly cannot. We don't want too much of the clear. Okay. Get that out of the way. Close this up. Get those moved. And let's just see how this color comes to life. I think I'm going to do it. A lot of times I go off camera to do it, but let's just do it. And we'll see the difference between using a little and a lot. So. Gonna let those dry. I prefer, so you can see here that when you swipe with the paintbrush rather than, sorry, when you put the ink on a surface and grab it with your paintbrush, when we put a smaller amount on, it does not, well, maybe it's just, some of it smears more than the other, but, you know, it really depends on your preference. I don't dislike the extra smearing, and the silver didn't smear a lot, so maybe I just put too much pressure on those. All right, let's move along. I'm so glad I did this because they do not match the color on the lid. Let me grab my, no, where's the wet one? This is the damp one. I'm going to get those out of the way and pick some of this up before it gets all over absolutely everything. That is the one really downside of embossing powder, is the mess it makes. I have a silicone mat that I could put underneath it, but I know very well that that is just going to stick. So let's see, what shall we go with next? How about, how are we doing on the center here? Pretty good. Make sure you can, there we go. All right. How about we go into, let's go into the browns. We've got a couple of browns, and then we can go for green. So let's go ahead. I don't know if you can see my colors with as zoomed as in as I am. No, you surely can't. All right, so this guy's going to be light brown. This one is stone. We're going to go pistachio. And green pearl dry. I don't know what the difference between, none of them say wet, so I don't know what that even means. We've got a couple that say dry and nothing that says wet. So, all right, back to sampling, swatching. Oops, I don't even know what I'm talking about. That's not new, guys, you all know that. I'm gonna tap off some of the excess and see if we can get enough on here. Oh, I might need a little more. Maybe don't tap this time. What's really cool about this underlying, I guess, layer, the powder is not super fine, and so it leaves some additional texture. It doesn't get super smooth. I could probably go over it again and get it smoother, but I really like the texture of being able to see the powder go into, you know, over the surface, but not super deep into those it's certainly not a crevice. Into the underlying texture. The low spots, I don't know, you guys, you know what I mean. That one definitely didn't get very even with the with the actual first layer of embossing, but that is okay. We're still going to get a plenty good idea. I bet I'm going to like this color. It's kind of sagey. That's really pretty. That's going to be a, well, I guess we'll see how bright it gets or not bright it gets when we do that. All right, on to the pearl gray. Pearl green. Green Day. They're a very nice band. I'm a big fan. Can you tell it's super early morning and I'm tired, but I'm awake and I wanted to check this out. So here we are. If you're gonna blow mica powder off your paper, close this first. Tip of the day. There we go. All right, now how about the grays? We'll go here. Probably should have done that with the blue. That's graphite. Winter. I could have done pearl. All right, we'll just do pearl at the bottom. All right, let's do this. It doesn't even matter what order. Why am I doing that? How silliness. Let's just make space to write though. So we're gonna go winter and then black pearl dry, then black sea, and graphite. So let's see what winter gives us. I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty silver. The regular silver up top did not give a great, not a great result. It really completely blended in. For the most part, I can see nothing. This is definitely a darker silver. Set that off. I am really bad about not swatching new stuff. I really should do that so I can see. Ooh, that's got some neat shimmer color in it. It's a little bit different. Anyway, I just try it out. And then I'm like, oh, I'll remember. And then I don't. But, you know, 'tis okay. We are all okay. Yes, I'm wasting some Q-tips, but I really don't want to. If I was using this on a project and I wasn't going to be in all of the colors, I would definitely just use a brush. But for this, since we're going to use it as a reference, oh, okay. Black sea. I guess seas are blue, so I guess that makes sense. Since we're going to use this as our reference, I don't want to contaminate the different colors. And if you get a spot that's a little darker when you're doing this, you can typically, you can leave it so you can see the difference, but you can also just kind of work it out a little bit. Quite interesting color there. Check out graphite. Then we'll do another row of stamps and we'll get the clear on and see what we think. I'm sorry for the annoying and squeaky noises of this. A nice gray as well. I'm not seeing any colors that would be like totally unusable. I think they're looking pretty good. All right. I'll get rid of any excess. And now let's go ahead and stamp. Some people like stays on. I do have some. We could try some. Maybe we'll do the bottom row and stays on. What you can't use is distress, because when you put that extra layer of embossing ink on top, it's wet and it's going to smear your distress. But maybe you like that. Maybe you want it to look messy and smeary, and then you could totally do that. I'm gonna give this a second to dry. Looking back at that top one, you know, having that extra really didn't cause a huge problem. It does allow it then to, it picks up if you got any powder on the outside. But see, they're all completely sealed at this point, so that's good. So I think what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to wipe off my brush because I know we picked up some powder. I don't want. Let's try the brush in the bottle method again, but this time I'm doing a better job of taking excess off the brush. So let's see if we can manage that. That's better. Might even get 2 out of that. Oh, see, I picked some up with my brush. Clean that off. And remember where I'm at. That still might even be too much. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the other one for the, for the grays, and I'm going to stamp it right on my glass. And so we can get another difference, idea of what kind of difference it might make. Okay, so there is row 2. Let's get our paper underneath us and get a nice coat of clear on all of these. And I'm gonna carefully move it this way and let all of this go over the flow over. What is that? There's a hair. Flow over the top here, so we get good coverage. Set that to the side. See if I can clean up better this time. Better. Okay. Now we're going to close and we're going to do moment of truth. This is the fun part, right? Okay, let's see here. Cool, but let's check out what we've got. The brown looks nice. Both of those greens are fabulous. Black pearl doesn't show up super great, but you can kind of got to expect that with the darker. I do think the winter gives a nice light gray, what maybe you would hope with silver, but the winter does it better. That black sea is absolutely gorgeous. Very similar to the mint. And then a slightly darker gray with the graphite. I do think that we get a nicer result when we don't have as much on the brush, with just the texture of the piece. The way the mica moves, although it's not super different. So yeah. All right, one more row to go. And we are into our berries. Those look very similar. This is just called powder. We'll end with, let's start with pearl. These, I can't even really put them in any sort of color order. They look very, I mean, that's clearly the darkest. Well, it doesn't matter. Stop it. What is my deal? Okay. All that matters is that we put up where we write the name. And I need to get scooched up. There we go. Here we go. All right, so let's do pearl, powder, berry, berries and cream, and papaya. And then we'll get our last 3 reds out and see what those give us. Okay, pearl, I'm gonna guess we're not gonna get a lot out of this. Some shimmer, but that shimmer is gonna go away when we put the clear on. And I don't think we're gonna really have any light. I do like that the yellow gold though gives almost a bit of an ochre color. So that would be really nice if you want a yellow tone. There's no other yellow in here. Get some nice pink. It's a very pretty pink. Maybe that's why it's called powder. All right, next is berry. These kind of remind me of the Distress, the pink Distress inks, where they're similar, but there's just enough of a tone difference that you can, you know, pick what suits exactly what you're trying to do. So that is cool. Right, off to the side here. And let's go with cream. I'm glad I didn't try to make something big with these and just guess. Very nice peach. Let me just get some more on there because I didn't get very much on my Q-tip here. Excellent. And papaya, and then our reds. Oh, this is an interesting, very gold looking. Is that, no? Yeah, I guess it does have, it's almost like a rose gold. That's beautiful. You definitely see the different tones in this one. I think that might be one that I would use a lot. So yeah, it's like a rose gold with a hint of orange almost. All right, guys, last 3. We've got cherry, dark scarlet, and dark purple. Okay, let's check out what this is going to give us. hopefully a nice red. Now that texture's coming through. What I probably should have done, now that we're on the last 3, is did part of it with, you know, more. I know I did that on a couple by accident. But see the difference between a lot and a little. Oh, well, it's too late now. I feel like if you're using these on a project, you've made your choice about your color, and so if you want to experiment, ooh, I think I'm gonna like this. And I've used these before to make almost like paints, like I said, but you know, a person forgets. That looks very dark. It looks more purple. It's got some purple shimmer in it. Looks more purple in the container than here on the thing. But, you know, maybe we use this as a black. And last one. Now I wonder if I did some of the pinks on the same, because tell me how I possibly started out with an even number, 24, and am ending with 1 nib not used. Brush too much off there. All right, dark purple. We'll have to see how this comes to life. Maybe I'm just being too stingy with it here. Maybe we just need to get more. Anyone else ridiculous with their mica, and I'm like, oh, but that's a waste. This little extra is a waste. Come on, you guys, really? Look at all of this. That's so silly. I want to say I spent, I can't remember if it was $6 or $12 for this set, but either way, it was not super expensive for the amount that you get. All right. Blow off some extra, and now let's stamp, and we'll get ourselves finished up. I just want the consistency of the stamp to help me see how it actually really behaves. It would be a good idea to, you know, if you're going to use a narrower, you know, a small stamp that's not quite so bold, that's, I bet, not even going to show up. To do just a small little test on a little scrap piece of paper before you go and you do it for real. The piece that is going to make the difference about whether or not it smears is the ink over the top. That's where we run into that potential issue with using a very small or intricate stamp. So I've still got some. No, I should not do that. Let me wipe this up. I was going to grab the same ink that I have sitting over here, but of course some of that has dried at this point. You do get a really long work time with embossing ink. That really is the difference. And of course it's clear. Now, if you're going to be working quickly and you want to use regular ink with embossing powder, you absolutely totally can do that. All you need to do is make sure that you get that that embossing powder on before your ink dries, and then get your heat tool right on it to get it melted and plasticized, I guess you could say. Yeah, that thing that we just said. All right, I got it cleaned up. Now I'm just drying off the surface here so I can put some more down. I do like the effect better when we pick it up. Oh, I could probably do that down here. So here's what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing like this. Just putting some down. Then I'm just grabbing it up with my brush. That probably should have been something I did before, and making a swipe. Oh, I had something on my brush. There, picked it up kinda. And get some more, swipe. Get some more, swipe. I've got some over here, so I'm gonna use that up. Swipe. Swipe. And it's clear, so you just can't really. Shall we just test? Let's see. Yep, it does pick it up, and it lays too much down. I figured that was the case, but you know, we gotta try, because that's what we do. We try stuff. Wipe this off. Oh, I should have done it on the dry one. So now I'm technically contaminating it with whatever is on that baby wipe, but we're gonna just, you know, we tried our best. We are not aiming for perfection, because we're certainly not going to achieve it. And perfection causes way too much stress. All right, so we now have our layer on, and we can move forward with our clear. Be generous. You know, you're putting it right back in your canister, so you're not wasting. You can generously cover. And if you don't have enough to cover them all, just, you know, do a few at a time if you're going to be doing this. Oh, the other thing that you need to do when you're talking about the timing of this. So getting your powder on while the ink is still wet is key. And then melting it before the ink dries is also important, because if you let the ink fully dry and you haven't set it yet, then it can just wipe it back off. And don't wipe it. Don't touch it. It's not that solid. It's not solid at all. So if you get some that goes in a different area that you don't want, the other thing you can do, I'll just do it with this, but you can always just wipe it away, you know. I like using a little paintbrush to do that. All right, let's do our last one. Okay, wow, those reds are gorgeous. Excuse me. And they give very similar color to the bronze and copper, but just a little lighter. Papaya and copper are very close. Dark scarlet and dark purple. Basically, they're just darker grays. Now, you can't see, obviously, the dark ink, but if you wanted to do it with like a opaque white ink, that might look kind of cool. All right, let's zoom back out. And look at our finished. Wow, guys, that took 50 minutes. I can't believe it. It felt like it went quick. But anyway, again, this is, let me show you, a Soap Shop mica powder set. Does it have anything else on it? If you like it and you're interested in knowing what it is, there's the bit. And I got it on Amazon. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to be going forward with this little process here very soon. So I hope you have a lovely day or evening. Not sure when this is coming on. But I hope you have a good one, and I will see you all next time.